Steve Erceg won, and it's that simple. It was a close fight, but he won. But the reason that he lost the fight is because judges in MMA are not following the criteria. In the Erceg-Pantoja fight, Erceg was doing more damage to Pantoja. Pantoja did have 9 takedowns in the fight, and he did have, I think, 8 or 9 minutes of control time. But the control time wasn't leading to any sustainable, or immediate, damage, or cumulative, wasn't leading to any of that kind of damage. I want to get into some things that explain why him being on top or being in control doesn't matter. So the first thing I've highlighted is successful execution of takedown, submission attempts, reversals, and the achievement of advantageous positions that produce immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute to the end of the match. That's the key part at the end, with the potential to contribute to the end of the match. In any of Pantoja's positions, I don't know if he ever had his back. I'm trying to think. Like with hooks in. I don't think so. But in like top half, or in full guard, or like in a cage wrestling transition against the fence where it has like a body lock and he's in control, there's no potential to contribute to the end of the match in that. Like, sure, he's closer to getting to an advantageous position, but there is nothing that puts him in a spot to potentially finish the fight. So if it was just that and Erceg was doing no damage, then you can begin to score that and say, oh, Pantoja's controlling the fight. But Erceg was doing damage with those elbows. Those elbows were splitting cuts on Pantoja's head, and that is damage that contributes to the end of the fight. Another part I wanted to highlight, top and bottom position fighters are assessed more on the impactful, effective result of their actions, more so than their position. Now, if you're on your back and you're slicing the dude up with elbows, Erceg wasn't doing this, but think Michael Bisping GSP. When Bisping gets the takedown, ends up in like full guard on top, but Bisping's like framing off and cutting GSP with these nasty elbows, then Bisping is winning that exchange. Just because GSP is on top, that doesn't mean that he's winning the fight. And this is something also with like Arman and Oliveira. This was tough because Oliveira's like Oliveira's contributions to ending the fight happened in like small moments where he almost got a submission. I think the first round was Oliveira's because of how close he was to finishing the fight with that guillotine. And sure, Arman had some top control there at the end, but that's Oliveira's round. In the second round, Arman generally dominated him, but in the last like 5 seconds, Oliveira had a fully locked in triangle armbar. Fully locked in. And the horn went because, and it seemed like Arman was not okay with getting put in that position, but he was going to do more risky things and not be so defensively sound with like the last few seconds, and he got caught for it, but not like finished. Obviously the bell went, but I'd still give that round to Arman. But do you think in that round Arman was closer to finishing the fight than Oliveira was with that fully locked in triangle armbar? Sure, there was only 3 seconds left, but I don't know. And the damage that Arman was doing in that second round, that gives him that second round. But then we go to the third, and Arman doesn't do nearly as much damage. He has the top control, but then he gets put in a Darce choke for the last, whatever it is, 40 seconds. And that's the closest that anyone got to finishing the fight. So do you give Oliveira that third round? That's why I was thinking, like, maybe if the judges were really reading the criteria and were, like, seeing, okay, immediate or cumulative, I can never say that word, impact with the potential to contribute to the end of the match. If they're looking at that, who got closest to contributing to the end of the match? It'd be Charles Oliveira with a like locked in Darce, and Saryukian defended it well by going like flat. That's the way to defend it. But that was the person who was closest to finishing the fight. So do you give Oliveira that round? But you don't, because judges score the fights how they've always scored fights, where it's like, oh, control time, that like takes precedent. Like, oh, he controlled him for like 8 minutes. He's on top. He's winning. Like, it's very simple, but they don't go into the criteria. They aren't following the criteria. Another thing that I wanted to talk about briefly within the unified rules. Effective aggressiveness is only to be assessed if effective striking / grappling is 100% equal for both competitors. But that's never going to happen. You're never going to have, unless they literally throw no strikes, it's never going to be 100% equal. It can be really close and tight, but it will never be 100% equal. So effective aggressiveness, which has its own little section, but I just cut it down to what they called it, effective aggressiveness. They explain what it is in the website. I'll link it below if you really want to see it. But it's not even going to be assessed. It's very rarely assessed, and it shouldn't be really at all. Like, if no one throws any strikes and one guy's moving forward the whole time for 15 minutes, no strikes, that means it's 100% equal. The guy who's effectively aggressive, moving forward and like cutting the cage off, they would give him the win. But it's never going to be 100% equal. Another thing, because they go into effective aggressiveness and fighting area control. Fighting area control shall only to be assessed if effective striking, grappling, and effective aggressiveness is 100% equal. That is never going to happen. I just told you how effective striking and grappling isn't going to happen. Effective aggressiveness also to be 100% equal. They're just going to stand in the middle of the cage, do nothing, and look at each other. Like, it's not going to happen. And it says this will be assessed very rarely. So the things that you got to look at is the immediate and the cumulative, got it that time, damage. That's what you got to look at to contribute to the end of the match. And I feel like Urseg was doing more things to contribute to the end of the match in those rounds, where he landed huge elbows. And sure, in the 5th round, I think in the 5th round he landed another huge elbow, and he shot a dumb takedown and ended up on bottom, but Pantoja wasn't doing anything. He was just lying on top, not having any potential to contribute to the end of the match at all. That's my little rant. I don't know how long I've gone on. 8 minutes? That's good enough. You guys, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you. But MMA judges need to figure it out, and they need to start going by the criteria, the unified rules of MMA and the judging rules. They got to start going by that. Peace.